Hello? Hello, Dimitri. Listen, I can't hear too well. Do you suppose you could turn the music down just a little? Oh, that's much better. Yeah. Yes. Fine, I can hear you now, Dimitri. Clear and plain and coming through fine. I'm coming through fine too, eh? Good, then. Well then, as you say, we're both coming through fine. Good. Well, it's good that you're fine and I'm fine. I agree with you. It's great to be fine. Now then, Dimitri, you know how we've always talked about the possibility of something going wrong with the bomb. The bomb, Dimitri. The hydrogen bomb. Well, now, what happened is, one of our base commanders, he had a sort of, well, he went a little funny in the head. You know, just a little funny. And he went and did a silly thing. Well, I'll tell you what he did. He ordered his planes to attack your country. Well, let me finish, Dimitri. Let me finish, Dimitri. Well, listen, how do you think I feel about it? Can you imagine how I feel about it, Dimitri? Why do you think I'm calling you? Just to say hello? Of course I like to speak to you. Of course I like to say hello. Not now, but anytime, Dimitri. I'm just calling up to tell you something terrible has happened.
Hey, I'm Kyle. Thanks for joining me and Andy for the Legendary Creature Podcast. So, if you're listening with your kids or your conservative grandma, maybe don't, because we swear.
Or you can check us out on YouTube, because hey, that's no place for conservative old women or children.
Fuck yeah.
But we're back, baby.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. That drives people crazy when I say that at work.
Dude, I think it's hot.
Because it's not work appropriate. It's kind of weird. And calling like other coworkers daddy also makes people uncomfortable. Like,
You say to AP, see you at church, daddy.
Yeah. Like he calls me on my phone and I'm like, daddy? They're like, ew, stop saying that. All right, war for the spark, war with the spark, war of the spark, war...
Sparking your war.
To the spark. Dude, what a spoiler season this has been. Just when you think it's over, we're still 7 cards short. Like it just never ends.
And the way our luck is going to be is there's going to be something like totally dope that comes out in the last couple cards.
Like a colorless legend that I would be shocked if there was like a colorless legend that shows up or something. No, I think we're... Yeah, why 7? What are they planning for tomorrow that's 7 cards?
Yeah, I don't know. My understanding is that they gave a preview card, like all the cards are preview cards. So, because normally they give out like a batch of preview cards and then the rest of them they just like dump.
Wait, so they gave out preview cards to content creators?
Yeah, like every single card was given to a content creator.
Huh.
As a spoiler.
Well, this is a good segue into ours. Here's our. Oh wait, we didn't get shit.
We didn't get any free spoilers.
Yeah, we don't get
preview cards.
The pariahs for sure. All right. Well, yeah. Like just kind of overall, how you feeling about what you've seen so far about this set?
I think this set is weird to digest as a commander player.
Is it?
Yeah, I think it is.
I think it's trying to challenge our values a little bit. I think it's trying to make us... I really feel like they're trying to challenge what we like. By putting effects that we like on Planeswalkers is kind of the message. Like, oh, Commander players like these effects. Let's strap them onto Planeswalkers. And it's like, not to say that Commander players don't like Planeswalkers. There's definitely that group of people that are into that. But you kind of have to tell yourself, these will be attacked and... Cannon will be attacked by my opponents.
Yes.
Like you got to
Of
plan.
which there
you gotta
are
plan for it.
multiple.
Yeah, people will find evasion. People will find ways to get at your commander. Anybody who has like a commander planeswalker, they just kind of know that, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like my values are being challenged a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's why it's hard to digest is maybe what I'm kind of trying to say, because I think when we started this podcast, it was pretty easy when a new set came out as to what you do as a commander player.
Yeah.
You ask the question, what are the legendary creatures?
Oh, that's like number one.
Okay, like
Who's my next deck? Who's my new deck?
Yeah, there's only going to be, like 7 or 8 of them was usually the way most sets went, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, give or take, but in that ballpark. And then what other just juicy spells might be in the mix that I could put into the decks that I already have?
Right. So either like things that were staples before that are now power creeped up.
Yeah.
So objectively better versions of their old selves. Like, I don't know, like just kind of off the top of my head, Plague Crafter.
Sure.
To me is just, I don't know when the zombie subtype comes into play a lot with this flesh bag. And it's a dope card, but for everybody else not running a zombie deck.
Yeah, Plague Crafter fucking.
It's just better.
Does the trick.
Yeah, so you're kind of looking at that, like what cards just kind of supplant the ones I'm already using as better versions. And then, yeah, kind of what you were saying, like what big splashy things fit into what I've been doing already with commander decks that I've already established. So, like in this case, we've got some really yoked ass X spells that fit pretty well into a lot of archetypes that are already there.
Yeah. And then I think the other thing is that you kind of glance at the planeswalkers and you're just sort of like,
some of them fit.
Maybe.
Yeah, some of them fit in, and then other ones are like, I don't know if I can slot this. I don't know if I can take something out to make it work. Or more importantly, protect what this thing's going to try to do.
Right.
So, yeah.
But this set kind of has it's given us a lot of legendary creatures, and we'll get into assessment of them in a minute here, and just a shit ton of planeswalkers. One with every pack, everybody.
Yeah, you're gonna get one if you open a pack,
and
you're gonna get the same one a couple times. I predict there's gonna be a lot of packs full of Obnixilis the Hate Twisted.
Yeah, I was gonna save this to the end, but I don't advocate buying packs, even though this is a very commander relevant and excited. Just don't buy boosters if you're a commander player. Anyway. There's a lot of planeswalkers, and so it's kind of thrusting it on us. I think, like you say, they're trying to change our values about them because they've changed the design of them a little bit.
Yeah, they are a little bit pitched,
and there's just so many of them that you have to take more than a glance.
Yeah. So we talked, and we're gonna do a whole episode only for the planeswalkers.
Yeah, so
because there's so many of them, and there's just a lot of. I mean, like, I copied all of the language from them, right? It is over 1,700 words on my Word document.
Wow.
Of just their name, type, everything that kind of what you would have to read off into the microphone. There's 1,700.
Dude, that's an essay, dude.
It is an essay. Yeah. So we're just going to make that its own episode. I think for now, we're just going to focus on, of course, what we were saying, the legendaries, and then just some kind of cherry-picked cards that we think are going to be dope.
And then we'll get to the planeswalkers because they definitely need to be talked about. But we don't want to spend this episode for the next 5 hours. As cool as it would be if you spent your whole workday listening to us, that's probably not the best approach to the review.
Yeah. So we're going to split it up. All right, dude, let's start in our decorum, right? We do color, start with the legends, and then kind of circle back.
Yeah, circle back and then hit the non-legendary creature cards.
Okay, bro, kick us off, dude. Give me a legend. Give me a mono white legend.
Okay, dude, here you have it.
Kyle, I actually do need a mono white legend, dude. Can you find me one? Because mine's pissing me off.
Yeah, well, don't build around this one.
Okay, what is it?
It's Tomic, Tommy, Distinguished Advocate.
Tommy. Okay.
2 CMC, so it's white.
Huh.
For Human Advisor.
Dude, Advisor Tribal is so hot right now.
Dude,
there it is.
Fuck yeah.
Okay.
Body on this guy is a 2/3, so he clearly doesn't go to the gym.
Mm-hmm.
He has flying, lands on the battlefield and land cards in graveyards can't be the targets of spells or abilities your opponents control.
Huh.
And your opponents can't play land cards from graveyards. So, Andy, this kind of just fits into the stereotypical definition of a hate bear.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Right?
He's a pretty damn good one,
it's
too.
It's a 2/3 for 2.
Yeah, as far as the stats go. He's a 2/3 for 2 flying. Like
flying. So, it hits a lot of those kind of like the bear thing, and then it has hateful text on it, making it so that your opponents can't play land cards from their graveyards. I mean...
Man, in the last 12 months, we've had a Crucible of Worlds, Windgrace, Scape Shift, like all these cards, like Raminep Excavator. If we go back a little further, you have the Gitrog Monster and Splendid Reclamation. I think they were like, all right, time to put a speed bump in the way of this strategy.
So I guess this is if you need hate bears, it kind of like this is a meta pick, right?
Yeah.
You're not gonna build a commander around this because it's sort of a little silly to do that, right?
I mean, you're already working uphill as it is. Like White's getting some support, but we're not nearly there.
Yeah.
This isn't like something that I don't know, man.
Yeah, the things that you're trying to do with this, like preventing your opponents from playing lands from their graveyards, there's a good chance there's nobody at the table doing that.
And if there are, they're
definitely going to put that deck aside while you play Tome.
Yeah.
Now, like I said, I guess I just want to get that out of the way to resolve that this is a card you put in the 99. If you're building a deck around this, here's a ribbon for being fucking special, like congratulations for being that guy.
To making a Tome Distinguished Advocate. All right, give me another legend then.
I do want to mention though, I do think this guy probably fits in Noyan Dar. Right?
Does he? I mean, I don't know how into recurring. Is it opponents only that recur?
Well, no,
lands,
because lands on the battlefield and land cards in graveyards can't be the targets of spells or abilities your opponents control.
Oh.
So your lands aren't going to get fucked with that you...
I hadn't even thought of that.
That you wake up with Noyan Dar.
Dude, good for you considering Noyan Dar.
So
it's about time somebody considered it.
So you're probably going to put it there. I think there's some like spell in the set that's it's a Selesnya spell that like turns him into a big huge elemental or whatever.
Oh yeah, that.
And so contextually it fits into the design, right?
Okay. All right, yeah, that's a corner case thing I didn't really think about. Yeah, I'm looking at it just trying to stop your Gitrog monster deck. That's what I'm looking at.
I think you can fuel yourself with Noyan Dar. Like it's going to be helpful there.
Okay, well give me another white legend then.
Okay. I'm in a place where like Scryfall doesn't have the other white legend up. I got to go to this other site. So it's Oketra. So it's got Eternal Oketra.
Oh my God, they're back, dude.
Got the Eternals, bruh.
So they died and then they got kind of like Terminatorified into...
Yeah, they got that Lazatep on them, right?
Right.
So God Eternal Oketra, 3 and 2 white for a zombie god. The body on this is a 3/6, has double strike. Whenever you cast a creature spell, create a 4/4 black zombie warrior creature token with vigilance. And then something we'll see on all of these God Eternals is the text of when God Eternal Oketra dies or is put into exile from the battlefield, you may put it into its owner's library, 3rd from the top.
Okay.
So you can evade commander attacks like by drawing this 3 turns later or 3 draws later, however that's going to work for you. And
how do you feel about that piece? Would you ever do it? To delay having access to your commander for 3 turns?
I would do it with Kefnet and Bantu, probably. I don't know if I would necessarily for the other 3.
Huh.
Just basically, because I feel like it's more, you're going to have additional incremental card draw in blue and black more readily.
So I initially, because I'm just trying to work this out, right? Like as if it's my commander, I think as a card, If you really value it, sure. Like if it's one of your other 99 cards. But and I'm just trying to get this out of the way now because it's going to be across the rest of these guys. My thought is I would do it if I didn't have the mana to re-resolve them, like to pay the taxes and get it back in.
That's a really good point.
But then that means those 2 cards on top of them are that's my only time. Eventually they go into my hand. I guess I can pay that again, but I don't know. Just kind of something just weirds me out about that ability.
I think the other thing too is you got to be aware of who you're playing against as well. Because there may be situations where they end up in the command zone anyways because somebody mills you or somebody forces you to shuffle your deck or something like that. Like there's things people, it's not unusual for people to do those types of things that manipulate your library in some way in Commander, right?
Yeah.
Like, so you're going to end up needing to zone them anyway. Like, I don't know. Assessment of Oketra though. I think as someone who's partial to white, on the surface, I'm like, okay, yeah, like my initial thought was like something you can do some kind of white weenie thing with, and you're going to get value with it, right?
Sure.
So if we're talking, you and I talk about the Triforce of Victory, you got to get value, you got to cheat, you got to combo. One of those 3 is the only way that you're going to win in Commander.
More than likely,
the
most likely way you're going to win in Commander.
And so it's kind of like, okay, if I cast cheap creature spells, and I get that onto the battlefield and a 4/4 zombie in addition to it, looks like it's going that value route. But the problem is that we can't draw fucking cards in mono white. So you're going to shoot your wad.
Well, yeah. So the development of resource here is that you resolve valuable low CMC creatures, but they're going to fall off pretty quick.
Yeah.
Like there's a couple where I'm like, okay, they kind of maintain relevance into the late game. So like the Mirran Crusader, I think maintains, it's a double strike pro green, pro black creature, like things like that. Hero Blade Hold, depending on when she comes out, like she's kind of like a mini Grave Titan, I guess is a good way to put her. She just outputs really quickly. But I don't think that Oketra helps even the weenie strategy, because a lot of the weenie strategy comes from non-creature spells, right?
Sure.
So
so you can't do token type stuff. And if you're doing low to the ground creature cards, you probably the reason you want to play that strategy is because you can get it set up earlier,
and she's out late.
Can't wait for your commander. So there's a lot of stuff at odds with that that makes it not work. There's just not enough stuff like Mentor the Meek in mono white to make that type of a route relevant.
Outside of Anointed Procession and Divine Visitation, if these were 4/4 Flying Angels, this would be a completely different valuation, because they're like, yeah, you're really kind of getting blockers out, and it's going to start stacking up, I think, pretty quick, 4/4 Flyers, but they're just 4/4 Vigilant zombie tokens. But for Verena, though, how do you feel about this?
Verena would be interested in this for sure.
Yeah, because I see this going off pretty well with...
In fact, that's one of the problems I find with Verena is not being able to get to a critical mass.
Yeah, get wide enough. So throughout Phyrexian Arena, or Phyrexian Altar, and a Gravecrawler.
Yeah.
Like, here we go.
Yeah, let's do this.
Because you sack it for black,
get your zombie
get your zombie token, Gravecrawler sees it, and now we've just kind of...
let's go as much as we have mana for, right?
Well, with the Phyrexian Altar, you're...
Oh, yeah, you're right. You're with the altar.
You're good,
let's
man.
Get infinite, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. That's pretty cool. I'm going to say something now that you're probably going to hear from me a lot in this review.
What?
Is I think this might be something that you may consider in Teysa Karlov, maybe.
Depending on how creature dense your build is.
Yeah.
Because she does, if there are creatures in a Teysa Karlov deck, they're probably low CMC. I think you'll be able to
pop off like if you're doing like what I ended up building, if you're doing that, like there's a lot of Doomed Traveler, Afterlife type low CMC creatures. So
that
you cast
fall off.
So you cast them, get your zombie token along with them with Oketra, and then you they die, and then of course with Teysa, then you're going to get 2 more tokens, and plus she's interested in tokens.
Right. So you probably have Divine Visitation and Anointed Procession in the deck. All right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I can see that. All right. We're ready for blue. I think that's the only 2, isn't there?
Yeah, those are the 2 mono white ones.
The 2 mono white ones. Moving on to blue, dude. Let me unpack this one for you, dude.
Yes.
So it's Flithlethip the Lost. It's one It's 1 in a blue for a legendary creature Homunculus. When Flithlethip the Lost enters the battlefield, draw a card. If it entered from your library or was cast from your library, draw 2 cards instead. When Flithlethip becomes the target of a spell, shuffle Flithlethip into its owner's library.
Dude, do you think they let Flithlethip write his own card? Because I'm lost.
I'm lost
after reading that shit.
Lost. So I think this is a meme legend. I think this is like on the same. This is like Yargle all over again. You know what I mean? Like
right.
This is Yargle 2019 right here.
Thank you, Spring Set, for bringing
yeah.
us
I'm
memes.
glad they made a card for it. Like it's hard to say no to this art. I mean, look at that guy.
Yeah,
sure.
I mean, Flithlethip is a dope ass character.
Yeah, I think the only thing that sticks out, and if you know anything about this card already, people are like, oh, Proteus Staff, right? So you hit him with the Proteus Staff, he goes into your library, and if you've planned your deck correctly, he will find himself, and then he re-ETBs, and you draw 2 cards. So it's 3 mana. It's basically like a divination that can sort your deck.
Okay.
So I think there's a way to potentially storm off with him if you sort your deck in the right way with some kind of high tide nonsense or whatever, because you're allowed to kind of put them back in the order that you want. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. So
it's a very specific combo piece is kind of what you're saying.
So you're like, I'm trophy maging for this. Like you're doing everything you can to find that Proteus Staff and then flipping him through. But I don't know. Like I'll put you to another commander that really likes Proteus Staff, and her name's Narset, and you could just fall into that on accident off of one of her attacks, off of one of her many extra turns that you've thrown out there. Like then it just gets bonkers because you can, as long as she's the only creature in your deck, she can stack you into, okay, I've got Relentless Assault or whatever the extra combat spell, like whatever extra combat spells that you want, and a bunch of a bunch of turn spells, and you're just gonna, that's that, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's, not a mono blue homunculus though. So fuck that. Let's do this one instead.
I don't know. I just don't get the design of it,
Well,
because
this is the second one that we've seen that interacts with the library. Like the library is not a zone that we want our commanders interacting with. That's why the tuck rule was kind of like,
it was introduced.
It was kind of kicked out from under it. Yeah, like it's a hard zone to work with. It kind of strips out you go from Elder Dragon Highlander to just Highlander.
Yeah, I don't know. You end up with this big stack of cards
and the guy's lost in there. Like I think it fits. I think he fits the flavor very well. Like that's where you do get lost, is in your library. You know where he is in exile. You know where he is in the graveyard. You know where he is in the command zone, but you have no clue where he is in the library.
I guess I'm just thinking. I'm like, I just don't know a lot of. Because I immediately thought of like Amanatu and Yennet coming from Commander last year, and I'm just like,
it's just 2 cards.
But this just doesn't fit with them.
It's just 2 cards. It doesn't fit with them. But speaking of somebody who does, right?
Yeah, gimme, dude.
So it's got Eternal Kefnet. So 2 blue legendary creature zombie god flying. Whenever you may reveal the first card you draw each turn as you draw it. Whenever you reveal an instant or sorcery this way, copy that card and you may cast that copy. That copy costs 2 less to cast. When God Eternal Kefnet, blah blah blah. So the same thing. 3rd from the bottom if it dies. Yeah. So this is a very abusable commander. I think right away. Let's just say it right now. It's a 4/5 by the way. If we're wanting to talk about its prowess and
it's hot body.
It's hot bod. Yeah, I think extra turns as things just gets wild very quickly. So like let's just walk through it, right? Your turn starts, there's just a time warp on the top of your library. So
imagine that.
How'd
that get there?
And because it costs 2 less, you just go, okay, blue, right? Or I think it's just 3 blue, right? a colorless and a blue, and cast the copy. Yeah, so
so
you're
three
paying
blue,
3 mana
so
to
3
take,
mana.
Yeah, 3 mana to take an extra turn, and then it just goes into your hand. Like everyone sees it, but what the fuck? You just bought an extra turn for 3 mana. And if you have a way to stack it back there, so I don't know, like a Sensei's, or a Scroll Rack, or even your Brainstorm, which I'll just say right now, Brainstorm is a must and would be totally broke with this card too.
Yeah.
Because Brainstorm can always be the first card.
Oh, yeah.
You can always be the first card. So you're always just getting a brain. For 1 blue, you have like this crazy effect. Every turn, you've got like a quality draw every turn. So I think this thing can be abused. I would kind of encourage people not to do that because like I was mentioning before, we already did our time with Narset, and going into infinite turns or multiple turns or whatever. Like, I don't know. I don't know how to take the deck in another direction where it could survive that, the potential, you know what I mean? Like your opponent's kind of expecting this to happen, so they're going to be like, okay, let's get on this Kefnet, this God Eternal Kefnet.
How do you survive the reputation, you mean?
Yeah,
kind
so
of a thing?
like me and Chris were talking about it, and he's like, yeah, man, like I just don't know if I would not do that. Like, how could you not do that? Add extra turn spells to this deck and just kind of go off the top. And I don't know. I it's got to be there. I think maybe pick 2 that are probably Time Warp, and then I guess Temporal Manipulation. Is that the other one that they kind of just barely reprinted? So they're the ones that just don't exile. So I guess if you can flash them back or get access to them later, great. But kind of just have an agreement with your opponents. Like, I'm going to take an extra turn, and I'm not going to do 2 in a row.
Yeah.
But if you can't deal with me before my next turn, I'm taking 2. And I'm just going to keep adding a turn until you guys figure this out, which it's going to be insanely difficult for them to do that every time you take an extra turn. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of some way to like not be a total cock about taking extra turns, because they're demoralizing, especially when a mono blue deck. Like, where are you going with this extra turn stuff? You can just deck yourself. Is that what you're looking to do? Or yeah.
I'm going to attack all of you with a 1/1 for the next 40 extra turns.
Yeah. So yeah, I just spent a lot of time trying to talk people out of taking extra turns with this, but I do want to see it as a commander. I think this is in a post. I mean, we're just living in Talrand's world when it comes to mono blue instants and sorceries, and I wanted something kind of like to come along and give you an option of maybe I don't need to do Talrand,
So something that's interesting to me, I think. I don't know. I kind of want to like view evaluation through that Triforce that we talk about, like cheat combo.
This is cheat.
And
this is cheat.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a lot of things, honestly. Like that, like what you just illuminated is a combo. Like I infinitely get extra turns pretty much, right?
Yeah. If you have a way to get that card back on the top, after you because you don't cast, you make a copy, it goes into your hand. Like you could just pop both of them off in that same, like lowest baseline scenario is you find an extra turn spell, you cast the twin, the Kefnet copy from the top, play everything out, move to your next turn, and then cast the original. So that's the worst case scenario for drawing an extra turn spell with him. That's 2 extra turns there.
But something that I really like is when we can identify design where there's the potential to do. I think the thing that's hardest for people to palate in commander games, the thing that induces salt, usually is combos and cheating. Like those are the 2 ways that people are usually going to get disappointed because they had plans, and those 2 just like.
When we mean cheating, we mean cheating mana cost or functionality, where things are like. They're happening in a way that the card really wasn't designed to have that happen.
Right.
So a good cheater would be like Mirren, right? Like it just keeps coming back. This is not how this creature was creatures are designed to die and stay dead.
And I think cheating and value oftentimes have overlap, right?
True. Because you get value from cheating.
Because like Kefnet, you're not having to cast these spells, right? Necessarily. Like you reveal an instance or sorcery card this way, copy that card, and you can cast the copy
for 2 less.
Like this is kind of like value cheat zone, right?
Yeah,
like
it's a solid ass commander.
And so what I'm trying to get at, I guess, Andy, is that like you don't necessarily have to go that broke ass route because he is at the very least providing you value. If you don't want to dial it up to 10, you're getting value. You can choose more weird type stuff, more weird instants and sorceries, and kind of just rev up the value with Kefnet here.
Yeah. I kind of thought about where to go with that because I don't know. Yeah, either you draw cards for cheaper, so you have bigger draw spells that seem kind of clunky. So like one, like, I'm just kind of throwing it out there, like Recurring Insight. It becomes cheaper and you can just throw it out there. And yeah, I don't think you can do the, what is it called? Where it goes into exile, the reverberate kind of thing where it goes off a second time.
Oh, rebound.
There we go. Not reverberate. Like things like that. Since you cast the copy, this is what's weird is that those copies can be twinned. So if you have a twin spell or a twin cast, you could twin it.
Yeah.
Any kind of other twinning effects. I think because you have the what is it? Swarm Intelligence actually works here too. They go off twice. So I think there is a way to go. I don't know if not having a maybe 2 extra turn spells in your deck is something that you can get away with. Because I think people are going to see this value engine going, and they're going to start focusing you out, and you're going to need to be going into, well, I either need to find like the dramatic scepter combo kind of thing, or I'm just going to start taking a bunch of extra turns to keep people away.
Yeah,
from
like
me.
there needs to be a route for you to close the game, and those are things that
And blue struggles with
need
that.
to do with blue, right?
Yeah, I mean, then you have Talrand and Docent of Perfection and other cares about spells type stuff.
Yeah.
That can be in the deck, but I don't know. I like him. I like Kefnet. I actually think it's a dope ass card. I just think it's a dangerous commander.
Sure.
You know.
Interestingly, like what Kefnet does goes well with Ral Storm Conduit. We'll talk about him, but
I think what Kefnet does well with the old Kefnet too, because you don't resolve the card.
Yeah, it's just in your
Your
hand.
hand size just keeps getting, because you don't really need to
You
commit.
can keep yourself that 7.
Yeah.
That's a good point. It's a really good point. Dude.
Okay, is there any other blue legends? I think that's
Just
it.
those 2.
All right. Yeah, we went on that Kefnet for a bit.
Dude,
but,
Kefnet's dope, man.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's get the black. What do we have for black legends?
So Massacre Girl.
Massacre who?
Massacre Girl. And that seemed kind of like who got into the copywriter's room at Wizards of the Coast, right?
Well, there's quotes from this character on a bunch of different cards.
Yeah, I mean,
back in the day.
she's obviously been in existence prior to the card.
Yeah.
Massacre Girl, 3 and 2 black for a human assassin. The body on this is a 4/4. She has menace, and then when Massacre Girl enters the battlefield, each creature gets -1/-1 until end of turn. Whenever a creature dies this turn, each creature other than Massacre Girl gets -1/-1 until end of turn. You and I were talking about this a little bit before we turned the mics on.
Yeah.
Kind of the conclusion we came to a little bit was like, she would be dope if it wasn't
this turn. Yeah. So if that first part went off, that'd be cool. Like they all just get -1/-1 till end of turn.
Yeah. We've seen this on Massacre Worm with the -2/-2.
Yeah.
It's dope.
Yeah. But if she had that ability where just whenever a creature dies, the rest get -1/-1 till end of turn, she'd kind of be like in the same space Harobi is, kind of like everyone, they just know their creatures are going to die. I don't know how fun that would be, but you could definitely plan around that. But that's not the case. It's till end of. She basically is a board wipe in the command zone. That's what she is.
Yeah. So I don't know. I was checking
the language is fun on the card. I like how they die.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
It might be interesting a couple times, but I think pretty much everyone's going to kind of get the picture after a couple massacres and get the idea of, all right, so everything's dead. Yeah, there's enough out here where everything dies.
So here's the problem with commanders like this, and it really revolves around ETB commanders, right?
Yeah.
Is they present this problem where you're not only building a deck to work around the commander, but you have to have an entire package of making sure that they have the opportunity to enter the battlefield again. And that kind of, that's driving with the parking brake on a little bit,
Yeah, I think, that's a good way to put it. I think with ETB commanders, they're either really hard to make work or they just go the fuck off. with a couple cards. So
Yeah.
like Prosh kind of sticks out. I mean, yeah, they're a little scaled in that they have that weird language, like those couple, like him and Jaleva, and like they kind of scale up at the more they are cast.
Sure.
But I don't know. I think Prosh kind of gets crazy because of things like Food Chain, of course.
Yeah.
But then there's the other side of it where, you know, like Gonti, like it's kind of a lot of work to get Gonti to get an ETB or two off of him.
And you have a lot of experience with Gonti. Like that's been a labor of love for you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if I have to send him to the graveyard a lot. Like I kind of actually didn't do the whole, like, let's do the flicker thing in artifacts and the places you can get it. Like I did it with the cards that made sense, but he's actually put in the graveyard quite often where I have a card that pulls him back out.
Yeah.
And yeah, the whole deck kind of just is standing on the same stone he is. So the whole deck wants ETBs. And you kind of have to build around that. And I would say that's probably where you would land with Massacre Girl. Like if you were really going to try to take this on, you're going to have a lot of cards where they want to do the same things she wants to do. So same value ETBs. She's probably going to the graveyard actually. So you can kind of dodge that tax because, you know, she's actually more than Gonti by about 1 mana. Yeah. I like this card. I really do.
I do too.
I think it's a more definitive, what's the demon that when it enters the battlefield, everything gets -2/-2? I think it's a demon of dark schemes or something like that.
Oh, yeah, something like that.
Yeah, because the Massacre Worm is asymmetric. So it's kind of, I would probably evaluate this above her. Because, yeah, while it only gives -2/-2 till end of turn, it does have that provision of, okay, well, it's only my opponents. And yeah, whenever the creatures die, they lose 2 life. Like we've seen plenty of games where they lost to Massacre Worm. Some token deck just lost.
Yeah.
Just got its feet kicked out from under it because of a Massacre Worm. She is symmetric, except for her. You'll still control her.
Yeah, I mean, she's the only one standing at the end of all this massacre, right?
Yeah, so I would kind of compare her closer to, is it the Demon of Dark Schemes?
Yeah, it is a Demon of Dark Schemes.
Yeah, I would compare her closer to that. She doesn't have that reanimation there, but things are definitely dead with her. the way the card works, like things are gone.
Yeah.
So in the other 99, I definitely see this thing being in a couple of decks.
I for sure see that. It's hard as a commander. I think a lot of people are going to try to solve it because I just think, like, let's be realistic about it. You're taking away some space in your deck in order to make sure that she can enter the battlefield.
Yeah.
Like you have to have a whole package for that, and that takes away from the deck.
So if you're a guy who runs like Demon of Dark Schemes and finds it comes up short sometimes, you're like, damn it, I just need the, I needed to kill that thing and it's not enough. Maybe
Massacre Girl will do the trick.
Maybe she's your boo now. Speaking of ETB commanders, look, it's got Eternal Bontu, bro.
Dude, you got a dirty Bontu for me, dude?
The dirty Bontu joke. So it's 3 and black for a legendary creature zombie god. He has menace as well. When God Eternal Bontu enters the battlefield, sacrifice any number of other permanents and draw that many cards. It's a 5/6, and yeah, it still has that provision at the bottom about being third from the top when it hits, when it dies or.
What is it? Should we just call that like long-term plans? Isn't that the card that does that?
That's similar. Yeah, it's a long-term death.
Yeah, it really is
long-term death. Same thing. Like I think there are some decks that want this in the 99 for sure. Like you were saying, I kind of like this for the Gitrog monster.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Just chew on some lands and turn them into cards. You were saying Krav is another one?
Yeah, I think if Krav kind of like goes the wrong way for you, like you're not able to use Krav, you can't get him back out of the zone or something like that. Bontu is another, you're like, let's get a swell of cards back into our hands with the setup that we have. You mentioned the Gitrog monster. Let me just, like, I don't think you necessarily have to just chew some lands. You might have some instances where,
well, you can tap the mana out, like fill up your pool, have enough to do that, and then hold a Splendid Reclamation.
Yes. Give me that Splendid Reclamation. Or if you have a way to get like the World Shaper to die after all those lands are sunk into your yard.
Oh, yeah.
Like there's, oh my gosh, the Gitrog monster has a very dirty Bontu for Bontu.
So to me, he's a creature version of Reprocess.
Yeah.
Because Reprocess is 2 black, sacrifice any number of artifacts, creatures, and or lands, and draw a card for each other each other one sacrifice this way. So it's like you just kind of, yeah. I mean, he can hit planeswalkers, which, yeah, I guess if you're going to lose them anyway.
See, and that's
and
that's the thing. So when we did our episode talking about tokens recently, one of the things we talked about is kind of like having an insurance policy.
Mm-hmm.
He's not necessarily an insurance policy, but if you kind of like sense that you're not going to keep your board state, cash out, dude. Like God Eternal Bantu is a good way to cash out.
Let's just turn it into cards. That's a hard read.
I mean, there's times
how come no one's worried about the amount of tokens I have?
There's times that you can tell.
I better Bantu out. I'm Bantuing out.
But even better, like I'm gonna say this a few times this episode. If you're popping off like those Afterlife Doom Traveler type cards with Teysa, Bantu's a good way to make sure those things die. You get your tokens and you get to draw a bunch of cards from it on the way, right?
Yeah, I think over time we'll kind of hear about some value stories with God Eternal Bantu. I think people are going to like him in the 99. I think we'll be surprised.
Very good.
Yeah,
in 99.
All right, so black. That's it.
Yeah,
right?
2.
Okay,
so
red.
First 3 colors. So
finally, dude, some red legends. Dude, hit me with a red legend, Kyle.
Okay, dude. I'm gonna go counter to my persona. I'm picking out a goblin.
Hmm?
So Kranko, 10 Street Kingpin. 2 and a red for a goblin. The 1/2.
Yeah.
So whenever Kranko 10 Street Kingpin attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Then create a number of 1/1 red goblin creature tokens equal to Kranko's power.
He's a what? A one?
Yeah, he's a 1/2.
He's a 1/2. Okay, so he's. How do you feel about this goblin commander, Kyle? How do you feel about that?
Well, have you heard about this other goblin commander called Kranko Mob Boss?
Yeah, I've heard.
Yeah, I don't think he exceeds him. So, I like if your mission is to get goblin tokens out, Kranko Mob Boss is going to be far superior at it, right?
Yeah.
If you're now, some might argue, and I know you and I had this discussion when he was first spoiled. Like I kind of was bringing up the fact that, like, well, I mean, maybe you can kind of have a little tall and wide thing going on here, where you get a really big Kranko, but he lacks all of the necessary components to Voltron, right?
Yeah. So let's evaluate. Does he have a aggressive power to cost ratio? Like, is a CMC?
Yeah, it's a 1/2 for 3.
It's a 1/2 for 3. So I'd say no. Does he have innate protection?
No.
Does he have innate evasion?
No.
Yeah. There's a lot of problems.
So
right
it just does not fit into being able to Voltron. And like we said, Kranko Mob Boss is going to be more efficient at creating tokens. So the question is like, I mean, I guess that just in terms of evaluation just brings you to, if you're looking at it as a commander, it's not going to hold up against other options for things you're trying to do.
Okay, can I evaluate it? Can I wear the black hat here for a second?
Okay, do it, dude. Do it.
So I agree with that. What I find amusing is that he's just a legendary creature goblin. So he's like a prototype. He's not a warrior goblin. He's not a goblin advisor.
Just a goblin.
He's just goblin, which I find that amusing. Yeah. I the only thing I want to say is I don't know if we can evaluate Goblin Legends against the OG Kranko.
I mean, Kranko's pretty fucking just.
Yeah.
He's
like I've
on
been
top.
saying for a while, like
he's on top.
So I'd probably put him in the sphere of with Teysa. Like, is there going to be a better version of what this is, or even if it's different? Like, is it different and good enough to compare? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean that's a good point.
He just
is it
shut
fair?
Goblin strategies like down. Like he's just so. There are good Goblin decks out there. Like I've seen them. I've seen Grenzo. I've seen 2 different versions of Grenzo. I've seen Wart.
Yeah,
like,
we've seen Wart.
I'm not saying that he's the only Goblin commander. Like that's not even true. Like I've seen some interesting Ib Half-Heart lists even.
I mean, the thing is that you usually see Kranko Mob Boss in all those decks, right?
Of course, yeah, of course. Like you'd be stupid not to do that. So with this one though, like I can throw out here, yeah, I don't know, man. We've had Krenko for a while. Like this is something that I'd give it a shot. I'd try to equip him and go sideways. I would say that I think as I'm thinking about it, just like listening to you go off about it is, yeah, it wants me to create tokens. That's like the payoff. You get a +1/+1 counter on him, but the payoff is that you get the goblins.
Right.
It kind of feels bad that they're not tapped and attacking with him. Then I might be saying something different where he gets bigger and there's more goblins and they're already attacking. Like take the Krenko into like an aggressive stance rather than like, okay, let's make a ton of goblins and either attack with them or throw them into a goblin bombardment or throw them into some kind of way to set up an infinite, right? Like with a Thornbite staff.
Sure.
But, I don't know. I think it's
so
I think it's serviceable.
So
I think it's a serviceable commander. Maybe that's the word I'm going to say. It's perfectly servable. You got Stoneforge Masterwork and Pen and Blade, which makes him scale proportionately to how many goblins you're putting out.
Yeah, sure. It's not to say that there aren't things you can do with that because it's not based off of the counters on him. It's based on his power, right?
Right.
So you don't have to use the counter route to get him large to get those goblins. Like there's things you can do there. I just like, I don't know. I guess in terms of like expectations as a commander, like it's not going to be.
Yeah, set him way lower than the OG Krenko for sure.
Yeah, like it's not going to be that. Like I like where you're going, where it's just like, yeah, it is interesting. And I think the thing is that the design on this is interesting. I think if you're putting it in, the thing that just keeps coming to my mind, and I haven't explored this out that much, but I keep kind of wondering like, what would happen if I put this in a Jund deck that was focused on +1/+1 counters? Like, would it be... I think it would be. It just feels like it would be very serviceable in that type of a deck.
I think there's tons of decks you can like. Brutaclad could use this guy.
Yeah,
since
that's
he
a good
gets a
point.
+1/+1 counter, Marquise of the Black Rose. Like he's just gonna keep coming back. Like it's gonna be an annoying.
Yeah, so there's a lot
way
of places
to give you
fit
something
this
to
guy
sack
in.
off with a ghost with a Ashnod's Altar.
Yeah.
The OG Krenko, like if he's out early enough, like you're able to get a couple swings in and have him pointed in the right direction.
Yeah, he'll be happy to have him around.
Yeah, so there's that too. I think, look, dude, this is how we're going to do this, right? You're approaching a restaurant. There's steps right up to the door, and then there's the ADA ramp that goes way out to the side and then back up. One is pretty fun. It's going to take longer, but you get to go way over there and then all the way back up,
I thought that was Doretti that needed the ADA, that was the ADA ramp.
Dude, whoa. Whoa, what the fuck?
I mean,
other red legend before we get too deep into the ADA controversy of, So I'm writing my business plan actually for my, because I'm trying to finish up my degree thing. And yeah, man, like there's just all this like ADA compliance stuff that you have to you just cannot fuck around with it when you're opening your own business, like a shop or anything like that. Like it's just all your T's and I's got to be crossed and dotted. I'm just like, because I'm not, because you're doing all the thing for like the permits or whatever.
Sure.
And
like, do you have a bathroom stall for like ADA?
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, but Larry David is in there using it right now. So.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. It's just kind of revelatory of like how mired you can get in just making sure man, it's just bureaucratic stuff. But I mean, it makes sense. Like, but what I was reading was that there's like these lawyers that drive around and all they do is just look for places to sue with just minor infractions. Like just like, oh, this sign wasn't high enough and the bush like grew in the way and like things like that. Like
shit, that's gnarly.
Yeah. So if you go into like Google reviews of places, they're always asking like questions like, does this have a wheelchair accessible bathroom ? And if someone says, I don't know, then they're like, okay, well, that's a potential target. And they'll like drive to that place and try to figure out if there's like any other infractions.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, like just so they can sue your ass into the ground. And it's usually like small businesses that they target because what are you going to do? Like.
So we're going to start calling those lawyers the 10th Street Kingpins.
Yeah, the 10th Street Kingpins. Okay, let me give you the other red one, man.
Well, there's 3, dude.
Oh yeah, there is 3. I forgot about this guy. All right, let's do this one. So it's Neheb Dreadhorde Champion. So it's 2 red for a legendary creature zombie Minotaur warrior. He's trample whenever.
That's a mouthful.
Well, yeah, the other guy was too. I think he's I think it's the same typing. Whenever Neheb Dreadhorde Champion deals combat damage to a player or a planeswalker, you may discard any number of cards. If you do, You draw that many cards, and you add 1 red, that much red to your mana pool. Until end of turn, you don't lose this mana as steps and phases end. And I think he's a 5/4.
Yeah,
right?
he's a 5/4.
So I think this is a great card for Feldon.
Yeah, Feldon, Duretti.
He pops stuff into your graveyard really quick. Maybe even Duretti, yeah.
Probably some of those Jund cards from last year's Commander release, like Lord Windgrace might put it to use.
Yeah, maybe if you're really just like, I want something out there trying to chug along.
If you're that diehard Gyrus fan, fuck yeah, get me stuff in my yard, bruh.
If you're a Gyrus fan, you know, bless you, dude. Bless you for towing that line for the rest of us. As far as the commander goes, I don't evaluate him very high. I think because of his previous iteration, it's just
Neheb the Eternal is just fucking dope.
Well, because it doesn't care about how you access the damage. Like a lot of what Neheb the Eternal is doing is like, hey, any opponent loses or takes damage, I'm just going to feed mana into your mana pool.
Yeah,
and there's just nutty stuff you can do with red to just transform that into card draw if that's what you're looking to do. The other thing with this one is like the faster you ramp this out, the
less fodder you have to.
Yeah, weirdly, like the less you have to discard and draw, and the less mana you add to your mana pool. So it's like you kind of want to start somewhere.
Yeah, it needs to be a place where you're very interested in looting for sure, where you don't care whether it's in your hand or graveyard, you know?
Yeah. Like I think it's a cool card. I think this is another one that's, dude, for Feldon, yeah, I honestly do like this because it comes in, hits you, and if he dies on the way over, like
would you put it in Maresil, dude?
No, I would not put it in Maresil. You don't have time for stuff like this with Maresil. Everyone's up your ass so quick with the Maresil deck. Like I don't have time for that. I'd rather just, I'm into faithless looting.
Sure.
You know,
sure.
I'm just draw 2, discard 2. Like I'm just
like
trying to dig. Yeah. And then, you have like Windfall and you just have
That's a good point. There's better stuff.
I'm kind of sticking him to like Jund and Mono Red and things, and maybe even some Boros out there probably.
I can see that.
Because you might have like a dead hand where you're like, I really don't want any of this, and you want to ditch it and add mana and draw into something new and drop something in your post main.
I can see that for sure.
Yeah, you're right. There is a third one, dude. There is a third red.
Dude, what?
Yeah, it's Ilharg the raze-boar. 3 red for legendary creature boar god.
Dude, give me some of that pig god, dude.
Yeah, dude. Trample. Whenever Ilharg the raze-boar attacks, you may put a creature card from your hand onto the battlefield tapped and attacking. Return that card to your hand at the beginning of the next end step. And then, he's, what did we call it? Long-term death. So he dies and he long-term deaths away. And I think he's a
6/6.
He's a 6/6 for 5.
6/6 for 5 with trample. So already like sign me the fuck up.
So
dude.
I'm actually way into this thing. Like I know Itali's a thing. I already know that. Like, and I know.
Yeah, but it's different.
Bro, this guy, dude.
It's different.
It's a little different. I think so. The thing I've noticed about Itali, like in the couple games I played with him, like when we did some play testing, is that I think people kind of, if they've never played against Itali, they go, I mean, you know, it's probably gonna whiff. But the minute it doesn't, like everybody just gets this like
nothing makes somebody more nervous than seeing their like hot shit on your side of the board.
Right. And I'm sure there's a ton of anecdotal stories out there about how, I got this guy, like for like, I'll just give you mine. Like there was a time where I grabbed somebody's, Akruma's Memorial, dude. And it was just like, I was just going nuts with this thing. Like, I just picked up every crazy permanent that made sense. It just worked perfectly.
Yeah.
But then there's other times where it whiffs. And even if it's whiffing, people are like, well, when is it going to stop whiffing? Like every time you attack with this 6/6 dinosaur. So I guess I'm kind of approaching this boar from the perspective of, I don't know. I don't see the hate generated with this as going to be as high as with an Itali deck. Do you think I'm crazy for saying that?
Yeah.
You don't I don't see this thing popping off like Itali potentially could. It's your own creatures that are coming in. Yeah, there's some crazy Eldrazi that are coming in, but then they're gone. They come back.
But imagine like a mere Battlesphere popping in every combat. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. I think there's some things that like you could do with Ilharg that are going to be crazy.
Yeah, I mean, Etali could be in the 99.
You could put Etali in the 99.
Yeah.
I think another thing you could do is, because they stay on the battlefield till the end of turn, right?
At the next end step is when they pop back.
Huh.
Yeah, return that creature to your hand at the beginning of the next end step. Like, how I envision the deck, I would say haste and ramp are just kind of like a must, because once the ramp starts overtaking what's in your hand, you can do 2 now.
Yes.
So you resolve 1, you have haste, it can attack, and then you raze-boar the other one out. So you're trying to just keep up. And then, when he inevitably dies or meets with a bad block or something that's like, I don't know, something that you can't account for, you need the mana to repop him out, and you need him to have haste so people aren't waiting an entire turn before you swing in again.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I just don't see this one going like, holy fuck, kill it, as much as Etali can be.
I'm sure you're right.
But they're close. I get what you're saying, because it depends on what you see pop in and out of my hand.
And I think the other thing too is that if you get stuff, you can stabilize,
like Breaker of Armies.
Yeah, let's say you get a Warstorm Surge set up, and you're just free popping out these huge creatures.
I hadn't even thought of that, dude.
Like you're just gonna, I don't know. This thing is going to do so much damage so fast. I think it's just going to be scary. Like, it won't be scary.
Provided you find the haste and you find the,
Yeah, it won't be scary in the way that Etali is. I think there's frustration around Etali because it's like, holy shit, you have all the stuff that should be pushing my game forward. And it happens fast. I think Ilharg is just going to produce a lot of damage quickly.
Yeah, Etali just gives you so many cards.
Because like if you think that first time with a mere battle sphere and you've got the 4 tokens out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, next turn it comes around and you've now got 8 mere tokens to go with it. Like, I mean, you could say this with any commander, but you get Helm of the Host on Ilharg.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, this thing is, I don't know. I haven't never built a mono red deck like officially. This one would catch my eye.
Yeah, you're into like kind of the Gruul stuff lately, the barbaric, with that Nikaya deck that you've been rolling with.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. I definitely value this one high, though. I think this one's going to be, I think this one's a commander that needs to happen for sure, at least at our table.
Yeah, for fucking sure.
Okay, green, here we go. Give me the green commanders, dude.
Give me the green, Lord. Give me the green. Speaking of lords. So God Eternal Ronis.
Okay.
3 and 2 green. Did I just go the wrong direction? We've done like the non-God Eternal, non-God ones first.
Whatever, just pop him off, dude.
Okay, so the body on this zombie god is a 5/5. Ronis has Death Touch. I have in my notes like sign Andy up.
Yeah, I'm into Death Touch.
That's enough for Andy.
I'm into the Death Touch.
Okay, so continuing on with God Eternal Ronis. So when God Eternal Ronis enters the battlefield, double the power of each creature you control until end of turn. Those creatures gain vigilance until end of turn.
Yeah, long-term death. So cool.
Yeah, long-term death as well.
All right, and then he's a 5/5. How do you feel about this one?
Definite 90 and 9 pick for me.
Yeah, I agree.
Here's why I say that, Andy. This type of stuff. Well, let me back up with kind of a story. Not so much story, but just experience you and I had.
Okay.
So I have a friend that was interested in building Elish Norn as a commander a year or so ago, right?
Yeah.
And you were just like, yeah, you can't do that. Like the beauty of Elish Norn is that it's a surprise.
Yes.
That's what makes Elish Norn so powerful, because everybody sets things up and then you cast it from your hand and everybody's like, oh shit, you just ruined my life.
Yeah.
But when it's in the command zone, everybody's planning. They're getting ready for it, right? And I think...
Take notes, Massacre Girl.
Yeah. I think Ronis does a similar thing where everybody kind of knows that they're going to need to be prepared for that big, huge combat that you're about to throw at them.
If I see a Ronis deck and I see, okay, has he achieved trample? Has she gotten large creatures
they're
that
going
when
to
they
try
double,
to OTK.
I'm in trouble? I'm in OTK range for sure. Yeah.
So it does not work, I think, psychologically to bring this as a commander to the table. People they're obliged to be ready for what you're going to do. They're going to pick opening hands based off of the ability to handle Ronis. Like they'll mulligan away until they have the things they need to deal with your shit.
Yeah, it's double the power. So yeah, it's lethal amounts of damage if it achieves any kind of evasion like trample.
But if you can surprise people,
really think that's why they gave the vigilance and not the trample. Like,
yeah,
it would just pop it the fuck off if he did that.
Yeah,
but since we get vigilance, and then like me and you were talking like tooth and nail with him, and that's just you can't.
You don't necessarily need to do
zone.
Avenger of Zendikar. Like now, you could have some other things set up. Get Ronis and
the Crater
Hoof, and that's plenty good.
My God,
yeah, like that's a definite tooth and nail target for sure.
Vigilance won't matter. You'll be blocking. You'll have creatures to block nobody. No one will be left to attack you. Xenaghost wants this card for sure.
Definitely.
Death Touch and Trample is pretty hot. Like, it's pretty hot. I like that it itself has Death Touch because if it gains Trample, like it's going through.
I think there's another Planeswalker that's interested in Death Touch, if I recall.
Probably Vraska.
We'll cover that.
That's Vraska. Is there any other green legends? Or
there is one more green legend.
Okay, who is it?
It's Mowu, Loyal Companion.
What?
So 3 and a green. For a 3/3, it is a hound.
Okay.
Has trample and vigilance. If one or more +1/+1 counters would be put on Mowu, Loyal Companion, that many +1 of those +1/+1 counters are put on it instead.
What does it start as?
3/3.
Cute. All right, next, let's go to multicolored.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, right? Like, it's just
like what's to say about this?
There's really not. Like, it's kind of like Piran Toothy, except for they're exceedingly better.
So yeah, cute. All right, multicolored. Anything? Are there any over here in multicolored?
No, that's land? It. We're on Ravnica, the city of guilds, and there are no multicolor. Oh wait, there are. There totally are.
Did you see this one? So it's Roalesque Apex Hybrid.
So the Simic are kind of
so it's 2 green blue for a legendary creature, human mutant, flying and trample. When Roalesque Apex Hybrid enters the battlefield, put 2 +1/+1 encounters on another target creature you control. But then when Roalesque Apex Hybrid dies, proliferate, then proliferate again. Choose any number of permanents and/or players and give them each another counter. So yeah, you proliferate. So do you know what's worse than an ETB trigger for a commander, dude? A dice trigger.
A dice trigger?
Now, okay, we had a listener that sent us a pretty dope-ass Elenda list, and I was, because we evaluated her pretty low. We were like, I don't know.
Yeah, and people have been able to use Elenda. Like,
yeah, man, he proved us wrong. But he's some kind of mad genius. Like, I don't have time to be good at this game, like... But yeah, jokes aside, it was a white-black deck. Like, if there's going to be just pick 2 colors that you
get stuff back from your yard.
Yeah, just pick 2. Like, those will be the first 2, and then like maybe a third would be the green. I don't know, man. I don't know how to like make this one viable as a commander, and honestly, like just even as a card, like.
And that's the thing to me is it's like, do you really want to spend 5 mana, and then try to find a way for a creature to die to get 2 proliferations?
Yeah. If this thing, when he ETB'd, it just says put 2 counters on any permanent you control, so it could reach into Planeswalkers or any other kind of permanent thing you're looking to permanent add a counter to. I think people would be scrambling to use him because he's a blocker, and then when he dies, you jump up by 2 loyalty. Like, you just kind of wait for somebody to try to attack you,
The funny thing to me is that as a 4/5 flying trample, like, that's honestly more appealing to me than the whole fact that it proliferate when it dies.
Yeah.
Like it truly is the Apex Hybrid, right?
Right, for sure. Give me another multicolored.
All right, dude. Since I'm so into Selesnya and so totally play those colors these days, Tolsimir, Tolsimir, friend to wolves.
Okay.
2, and then green, white. This is an elf scout for a 3/3. I think Tolsimir was an uncommon card, like in the original Ravnica,
really? Okay.
I think.
Yeah.
Now it's a legend. So when Tolsimir, friend to wolves, enters the battlefield, create Voja or Voha, friend to elves, a legendary 3/3 green and white wolf creature token. It also says whenever a wolf enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 3 life, and that creature fights up to 1 target creature you don't control. Andy, if you had to guess whether or not wolf creatures are big or small, which would you guess?
I mean, generally they're 2/2s. That's generally where they're at.
Do you feel like you would want to fight opponents' creatures with 2/2s?
I mean, yeah, there's a couple, but I get where you're going with this. Like, it's just going to fall off pretty hard.
So I'm conflicted about this one. So again, hearkening back to some of our discussion in our tokens episode, you want to abuse your tokens for more than just being bodies, right?
Yeah.
So Tolsimir actually kind of does that. Like if you're going to do stuff that creates wolf tokens or just have other wolves.
And it's a may. I mean, you don't have to do it.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, if it was you had to, I'd be like, man, this is going to be a fucking slaughterhouse. Like, this is a humane society.
It actually doesn't have may in the language. Whenever a wolf enters a battlefield under your control, you gain 3 life, and that creature fights up to.
You may have that creature fight.
Okay.
Yeah, you gain the life, but you may.
Yeah, you're going to anyway. But where I'm getting at with this conflict is I want more value out of tokening and small creature casts, and Tolsimir actually does give you that. You can do kind of the spot removal with it.
Yeah, pick off utility creatures. Yeah, all right.
I'm not super confident in that adding up to being enough. Maybe.
Okay, let me wear the black hat. Okay, you
ready?
If we get a Viking oriented set this year, do you think wolves are going to be a big part of it?
That is a really good point, dude. I would imagine there would be wolves.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of a big prediction. I think a lot of people are headed in that direction where they're thinking we're going to do that, but this could be something that we might get support for later. Cards like this, like I always kind of reserve. I mean, like, yeah, with the cards that we have, I don't know about how many wolf. There's a couple that make a lot of wolves pretty quickly and here and there.
Yeah.
But
it's worth noting that in the set there's Arlen, Voice of the Pack, that's going to help this. So like her static ability is wolves and werewolves enter with a +1 an additional +1/+1 counter.
Like why did they put a werewolf's keyword planeswalker in a standard release set like this?
Yeah. Yeah, like, you're right. Like there's some planning.
Do you think werewolves fit into a Viking themed set? Because I do. I think
definitely makes sense.
I think like wargs type thing, Yeah.
So in evaluation wise, I do want to say, like, I think that second half of the text on Tolsimir is actually something you really do want to see on when you're tokening. It's something that's better than just Reese like creating tokens all over the place. In my opinion, it's going to be more valuable to you when you can manage the board in addition to getting your tokens.
Yeah, all right.
I like that. I think you're right, Andy, in saying like, wait and see. There's probably more coming. Probably more tools coming for Tolsimir. I'm not expecting this to be like a crazy ass deck though.
Yeah, I mean, even if they have the best we could hope for is something like Secure the Waste for wolves, where it's a huge X spell where you dump a bunch of wolves into play and they just beat up everything and you gain a good amount of life. Like, I'm just wondering where we're headed. Like, are wolves going to be especially big? Are there going to be dire wolves, because I don't know, man. Game of Thrones is pretty big right now.
That's a good point.
I've been kind of saying that for a while that
they channeled the pop culture.
Yeah, and
for
like,
sure.
Well, it's pretty close. I mean, we're not that far off from Game of Thrones with Magic the Gathering, for Christ's sake. I mean, we've got it figured out, the fantasy tropes, but they could get closer. Trust Magic R&D and trust the artists they employ to get us really close to what this narrative arc looks like in a specific plane.
Yeah.
And what really sticks out is the whole like werewolves you control. Like they used a planeswalker. I mean, yeah, granted, she is an uncommon and she's in a set where they're just shoving planeswalkers down our throats.
Sure.
I don't know. I could be way wrong. I'm predicting, dude, that we're headed towards.
Yeah, and I think you could do some other things with this. Like if I didn't really look into it too deeply, but if there's artifacts and enchants that kind of grant death touch generally, I think Nylea's bow might do that. Am I thinking that right?
I think they have to be attacking. Is the problem.
Creatures.
Yeah,
that's. I don't know if I'm just trying to find ways to like make this even more valuable. Like it'd be cool. It's not terrible, but not great.
Yeah, if we're just evaluating my psychic feelings aside, then yeah, it's not great. I'm just trying to fuck with you, Kyle. Okay.
Yeah, you're trying to get me to build a Selesnya deck because I'm partial to the colors.
You're like, wait a minute, what? I like.
I'm doing it, Andy.
I like the wolves. All right. Storev Devarkin Lich, 1 black green. Am I saying that right?
It barely sounds like we're like
Devkarin Lich. There we go. I threw an A in there for no reason. Yeah, let's get the linguists in here before we move it.
I know.
All right, so Storev Devkarin Lich. It's 1 black green. Legendary creature, zombie elf wizard. When Storev Devarkin Lich deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker, you return to your hand a creature or planeswalker card in your graveyard that wasn't put there this combat. In times of war, only death flourishes. I think it's a 5/4 trample, right?
Yes, 5/4 with trample.
So Mirren exists, which makes this guy's job a little hard.
Like, so we outsourced your job to
Mirren
India,
or however.
dude.
Yeah, so she exists. So I've been kind of throwing out this idea with you and AP about doing, because last year we had a ton of legends out of Dominaria, right? Like we just had there's just no way we'd still be doing content covering them all.
Yeah,
like,
we
missed
certainly
some.
would.
We missed some. But we did this whole like before you go Dominaria, right?
Yeah, where we just blitzkrieged a bunch of decks and like
just alternate builds for things or whatever. But I was thinking that we were going to do that this time. We were actually waiting for this set to drop before we did that. I kind of want to go over this guy before we bail. My thought, since he's not that optimal anyway, I was thinking of a cycling list surrounding this guy. Because you know what, like when you're incompetent at your job, let's just why are you gonna like just own it, right? Like you're just incompetent. Have people come to you for approximate work, not precision work. I say that all the time at my job, dude. Don't come to me for precision work. Don't come to this podcast for precision work. If you want anything from Andy or Kyle, you're just gonna get approximate work. That's the story of Guy for sure.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So yeah, there's nothing else to say about that.
I'm
like
excited to hear that, dude.
We know there are better Golgari recursion sources than this dude for sure.
Oh, definitely.
Like even in the 99, this guy's kind of like it goes back to my hand, and it can't not have been involved in combat. Like I think they removed that just so I don't know why they won't allow it. Like could he do himself if he died on his way there? Like
yeah,
because of the trample damage. I don't know because that one where the one from Dominaria, the chick where she enters the battlefield, and creatures that were put in the graveyard this turn. She's a Rakdos legend. I can't remember her name, but she actually can, like, if you hurry up and sacrifice her, she can grab herself out of the graveyard.
So she's like on top of that stack.
And there's like this crazy. I mean, it's expensive, but there's like crazy things you can do with that. Like I hadn't even considered that. When they spoiled her, and then reprinted her like right after for some reason.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I think if you're gonna do a Storev deck, it probably should be something a little kind of janky, you know. Like,
well, it has to be like if you're going to avoid the optimal commanders for what you're trying to accomplish, you've committed to jank. You know,
just own it.
Like
man.
own it. Go there.
Own that approximate work. Any other multicolor legends, dude?
No, not at all, dude.
not even one. That's all of them. That's
it.
hit 'em all.
That's all the dog shit, dude.
There's not a Demir one. There's not a
How did they pick which guilds got to have?
See, I was kind of excited to see one from each guild. I was kind of thinking, is that going to happen? Maybe that's the 7 cards we're not seeing, man. There's
just watch. That's actually going to happen.
I'll freak out. I'll be like,
God,
we'll have to do an emergency podcast.
It's a good thing we're doing this in 2 parts because then we'll cover what we missed.
Okay, well, let's get
the Planeswalkers.
Let's just get these last 2 gems out of the way with the double, with the multicolors.
Truly, they are gems.
Yeah, I'm taking it. Niv-Mizzet Reborn. They killed my fucking dragon, dude. But then they brought him back. And I'd say better than ever, but I don't know how I feel about this. But here we go. So Niv-Mizzet Reborn, he's one of every color. White, blue, black, red, green. For a legendary creature, dragon avatar. When Niv-Mizzet Reborn enters the battlefield, reveal the top 10 cards of your library. For each color pair, choose a card that's exactly those colors from among them. Put the chosen cards into your hand and the rest in the bottom of your library in a random order. Yeah, there he is.
His art's dope.
Yeah, I think my initial reaction when I saw this was, I've just got really mixed emotions about this card. I really do. Because on the one hand, like I'm very attached to the original Niv-Mizzet, like all 3 of them. Like I fucking love it, right?
Yeah,
but I do
whole
love
Izzet card draw kind of a thing.
Yeah,
like,
and I don't know the lore behind this card, like what had happened or whatever. But I love that this is just like I just love it. Everybody down at the bottom are just like praising his.
Like, oh my god, Niv-Mizzet!
I'm down there somewhere, just like you know. But you know, I gotta take my biases out and just evaluate him correctly, you know, like and not just lose it. Oh, he's 6'6", by the way. That's what I was looking for. Was his size? He's the biggest.
He's big.
He's
dude.
the biggest.
Niv-Mizzet's bigger and better.
Yeah, he's the biggest Niv-Mizzet. We're getting a lot of ETB legends this go around.
Yeah,
his ETB's pretty crazy. You get the top 10 cards of your library revealed, and then for each color pair, choose a card that's exactly those colors among them. So you name one of every guild, and yeah, you could hit all 10. I mean, that's probably not going to happen, but that's how you do it. You got to load the deck full of guild colors. That's how you maximize his.
Yeah. So on the surface, like
effect.
that kind of card selection is cool, right?
Yeah, I think
on the surface,
I think he's going right into Ramos Dragon Engine deck because of that mana release, right? You can commit half to him, and then the other half to probably resolve a good chunk of the 10 that you're seeing. He puts Ramos like right on line.
Yeah, right.
The minute he resolves, so it's just he's going right into that deck for sure. I've heard a lot of talk, like just kind of on the interwebs, about basically making him the new food chain commander over Tazri, because Tazri's kind of, I guess I've never gone up against that deck and I've never bothered to make it, but I guess it has some weird consistency issues, like with how it works. But a lot of people are kind of evaluating this card of it just smooths that out, where you just go grab it because you just keep paying the food chain and you keep getting access to another 10 and another 10 and another 10 and another 10.
Yeah, it's interesting.
So as a commander, like I think he's okay. I think out of all the ETB, like if you're gonna do an ETB effect for a commander, like this is where you want to go. Just something really big. But then yeah, like I don't know. I feel like the deck's just gonna be full of a lot of flickering effects that can't be grabbed by him. Like there's a few. Like there's like a guild, I think there's like a weird Kithkin creature that can be grabbed where you can flicker him there.
It's the Mist Meadow Witch or whatever.
Yeah, is that it? Yeah, like is it a Kithkin?
I don't know that it is.
But it is from Lorwyn. But yeah, like just a couple of Brago, I guess. But you got to attack with him.
But yeah, things like get outside of it. Like the Deadeye Navigator is a single color. Like the Conjurer's Closet doesn't have any color.
Rune and
Amanatu are 3 color. Like,
not to say that you wouldn't put them in the deck, but Yeah, I'm glad they did something big with my dragon, and he's definitely fucking big here. But I think for me, as just an Izzet weeaboo, like I think we peaked with Perun. Like I'm not unhappy about this card. Like I was even texting you today. I'm like, do I have to make this like by default? So I have all the niv-mizzets, like except for Draco Genius. Like
You get upset whenever I even cast niv-mizzet Perun
it drives me
just from a deck.
That's what sucks, is that he's so good that he goes into other people's decks. Like the Firemind, like he's kind of a build around. You don't really want to be like throwing him into any deck.
Right.
You know, because like there's a Psychosis Crawler. Like there's other cards that just kind of make better sense than throwing this fragile 4/4 that has a tap ability. You know, but Perun is like, yeah.
It's legit good.
Yeah, like Kess, your goddamn twins. Like there's so many decks that just go off with him, and it drives me crazy. Jaleva, I think AP has it in Jaleva.
Yeah.
I do everything I can to just either make sure no one kills him when you resolve him, or be the one to kill him myself.
So there's one last legendary creature.
Yeah, you're going to take this for sure.
That we're aware of.
Yeah, that we're aware of.
I swear to God, there's going to be something.
Hang on. Before you read this one, let me get you a napkin before you do it.
Thanks, dude.
So you can, yeah.
Thanks, dude.
Okay.
I'm going to have a platonic moment with myself.
Yeah, before you read it off, let me get you that napkin. Maybe, you know what? I'm going to get you some paper towels. Let me get you that.
Dude, let's just spread out a big sheet in here. That's probably more what we need to do.
Right. Yeah, let's prepare.
Okay, so Feather the Redeemed. 3 CMC, so it's a red, a white, a white. For an angel, she's a 3/4 Boros, dude. Fucking Boros. Okay, of course, as an angel, she has flying. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell that targets a creature you control, exile that card instead of putting it into your graveyard as it resolves.
Okay.
If you do, return it to your hand at the beginning of the next end step. I mean, this is already, I think it's the top deck of the week on EDH Rec already.
Yeah, already. So this thing's peaking hard.
Yeah, like it's not even, like people don't even have their hands on this cardboard yet.
Yeah, get your Sun Forger right now.
Yeah.
Like, it's already gone up. You don't know it yet if you haven't looked, but it's already gone up.
It's on its
only
way.
Going to continue to rise.
It's on its way.
Because of this goddamn piece of cardboard. Yeah, how do you feel, Kyle? I mean, about this, dude?
So one of the things that we always talk about with Boros is the inability to draw cards, right?
Yeah.
It's really hard
to
do that.
Yeah. That's the first thing that'll come out of people's mouths about the problems with Boros.
And you and I think we frequently on the podcast have had a discussion that we dislike lazy design, where it's like, do X, draw a card.
Oh, yeah. I'm not super into it.
And so that kind of puts us in terms of our tastes in a very tight spot with Boros. And this card executes it perfectly. Like it puts all these cards that you cast, these instants and sorceries you cast in exile,
like a bucket,
and brings them back to your hand.
Yeah.
So you're just recycling all these instants and sorceries. And the beautiful thing about it is that in red and white, there's tons of cantrippy type stuff that you would never put in a deck, but that make a lot of sense with this commander.
Like Defiant Strike. It's already like floating to the top.
Yeah.
What is it? Gets +1 in first strike or something like that?
Yeah, like I think one that's been talked about, like Crimson Wisps, right? I think it gives them haste and you draw a card.
Expedite. Grants haste, you draw a card.
Yeah, exactly.
So walking through this, like you've turned your commander into a Mind Stone. So every other turn, you're just shooting this at one of your creatures to grant them haste, whatever, but then you're drawing a card. So by the time we wake back up into your turn,
you should have a whole swole hand.
Yeah, like, you've drawn some cards.
Yeah, like it's fucking dope. And I think, I don't know, I think the sky's the limit. Like if you want to just like focus on like pounding a bunch of stuff onto her that makes her bigger and kind of like gets things going that way, or if you're just digging into your deck and you've got some kind of combo that you want to do, there's enough of this cantrippy stuff that you could probably just dig into a combo pretty well as well. I'm just super jazzed for it. The other thing too, and maybe you have more specifics you want to talk about, Andy. I guess there's two things that I'm really excited about. One is recycling those X spells. Like
Yeah, because weirdly, like if you target 1 damage of Aurelia's Fury onto it, you can bounce it back.
Yeah,
or not bounce it back. We should say this is not buyback or whatever. Like
sure, it's
kind of
back.
Its own thing. You feather it into play.
So let's say you get some other creature into play, and then you cast a Comet Storm, target somebody's face and one of your creatures. Like you can just
ping it for 1.
Yeah,
spread it in a way where
like you can do some weird things with that kind of stuff where you're just keeping that stuff going, right? The other thing in terms of, I think that the more we see of these types of cards, it'll make other commanders like Fire Song and Sunspeaker, like the Simon and Garfunkel, it will make them more playable as well, right?
Yeah, when you fit it in.
Like Feather the Redeemed it's another thing that kind of makes a commander like that work even better as well.
Yeah, I mean, if you have like Lightning Bolt, you can keep grabbing life with that because your commanders, I think they have like 6 life, don't they? So
yeah,
I guess, yeah, I can see that.
I'm just saying, like the
protection
design
spells get fucking annoying. Flicker spells get infuriating. Like there's a lot. Heroic is another thing that's now like, I actually do value.
Yeah, heroic stuff was always kind of a little bit underwhelming, the heroic creatures.
Yeah.
But
Zada, Hedron Grinder. Now the instances propagate to all of the other creatures you control.
Yeah.
So like to put this into frame, like let's say you control Zada, Feather, and an Akroan Crusader, right? You target
Zada.
Yeah, Zada. With Crimson Wisp, so all 3 of them gain haste, but then you draw 3 cards.
Yeah, draw a card for each. But then you also, like you say with the Akroan Crusader, you're going to get a token in addition to that as well, right? Like,
no, I mean, I'm just throwing out no, you wouldn't get the token because you didn't cast the copy.
Oh, got you.
But I'm just throwing it out there as a creature.
As like a creature.
There. I mean, you could target the Akroan Crusader.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
But by the time we've gotten here, like if this was like around the same turn, like by the time we found our Zada, how many tokens have we created with the Crimson Wisp and the Akroan Crusader and the Feather? And then we finally found Zada. Like, let's say we'll be conservative and say you maybe have like 3 or 4 of those tokens. So now you're just drawing the fuck out of your, And then cards like Sheltering Word, just Shelter. It's 1 in a white. Target creature you control gains protection from the color of your choice until end of turn.
Yeah.
Draw a card.
So you can get things through. And then if you're talking about that Zada example,
they all gain protection of that color at instant speed.
Yeah.
So there's
so many options with Feather. Like it's just going to be dope.
Yeah. And I can say like what I like a lot about this is that it is still a little fragile. Weirdly, I do like that. I like that it's just not a fucking shutout. Like it's freaking strong. It's way strong. Like Chandra's Ignition. Like dear God. Like what is it? Fell the Mighty. Isn't that the other one where you can keep like? There's just so many crazy things you can do, but it's still, there's still kind of like that. If you deal with Feather is kind of like needing to stay in play all the time.
Yeah,
like you can't lose her. And there's tools to keep her out.
But the beauty of there's tools to keep her out, and I think the beauty is that what happens with any Boros deck that you play, you play your hand out, it gets undone, and that's the game. Like if you're having a really good game with a Boros deck, you might be able to recover once, right? But Feather, I think, because you're getting a full hand, you should be able to recover these. That's right, you're hearing outro music, and we haven't even covered any of the other cards that might be of interest to Commander players. Andy and I decided at some point during this episode that, hey, we're just going to push it to the Planeswalker episode. So look for that episode in the next few days where Andy and I will review the Planeswalkers and the other cards Commander players should be interested in from this War of the Spark set. Shout at us on Twitter at legend_creature or comment on YouTube. Let us know what your assessment is of these new legendary creatures and what you're excited for. Is there something we missed? Is there something that we did catch that has you excited for these new legendary creatures? Music this episode coming from both the artists Protector 101 and Home. We'll post links to both of their works in the show notes. Be sure to support them. We are very appreciative for musicians that let us use their music. Until next time, take it easy.